What up, space weather nerds? What up, nerds? We're looking at the sun here in ionized helium from the SDO. Huge filament here in the process of at least partially erupting into the greater solar system. We'll be looking at coronal holes. We'll be looking at all kinds of stuff here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So thanks for tuning in. Let's get back to the space weather. So we've got a very low solar wind speed. We've got a dip in the radio flux. Radio flux now at 117 solar flux units. Let's blast through some more data, including sunspots, active regions, CMEs, and more. So here's the earthly geospace over the past 4 hours. Again, we've got a very low solar wind speed. It's below 300 kilometers per second last I checked. And we've got a fairly homogeneous plasma pressure environment here. The magnetohydrodynamic pressure around the planet pretty equalized here, as we've had a steady signal in the solar wind. That's the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Here's our ground magnetic perturbation map, and not a lot going on as far as changes to Earth's B field. Again, we've got a very homogeneous environment in space, and in this case, as above, so below, a very stable magnetic environment here on the surface level. The units modeled in this space weather modeling framework product are nanotesla magnetic flux density. So yeah, things real calm at the moment. The KP index at 0, the lowest reading that we get. It's a very low level of global geomagnetism, which is what the KP index is measuring. The planetary K index, again, at 0. Let's go to the real-time solar wind. Again, below 300 kilometers per second here, showing up right near its lows, 294 kilometers a second. Very low solar wind speed. Solar wind density here, nominal, around 8.16 protons per cubic centimeter. The rest of those panes are pretty unremarkable. There is a shift in the phi angle there happening in the past about 6 hours. And there are some coronal holes. We'll get into magnetic data here next. There you can see some adjustments to the orbit of both the GOES 16 and GOES 17 at those arc jet moments when they turn on their thrusters and create plasma, which could affect the magnetometer readings. And we do have some high-speed plasma heading out into the solar system. We'll get to it. First, the heliospheric current sheet. Earth is solidly in a North Pole current sheet. Enough said about that. Keep in mind the magnetic data is already 1 hour and 27 minutes old and can change rather suddenly. We've got some, looks like we have some missing frames there or something. In any case, pretty uneventful. Moving on to coronal holes. A little more exciting there. Let's refresh this. A little more exciting when it comes to coronal holes, as we've got some significant North Pole-oriented trans-equatorial ones, meaning they cross the solar equator. As the North Pole migrates to the south and vice versa for the solar polar field reversal feature of solar cycle 25, and as we forecasted, those coronal holes are getting more well-defined. So here's 193 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, and you can see those dark regions there rotating in from your left. Those are those North Pole-oriented coronal holes. We can expect a high-speed stream from those in about 5 days. Will it produce geomagnetic storms, unrest, aurora borealis? Will it destroy all life on Earth as you know it? Let us know in the comments what you think. And if you think CERN is creating sunspots, take Physics 2. Please take Physics 2 if you think CERN is causing sunspots. And let's move on to the sunspots. Speak of the devil, let's move on to sunspots. So here we go. We've got really 2 major groups at the moment. This new active region rising up here, not a sunspot last we checked. Make sure you tune into our bonus features on twitch.tv/smashomash to see high-res close-ups of those areas. At the moment, likelihood of major solar flares is kind of high. Sunspot 3006 is beta gamma delta. Sunspot 3007 is certainly beta gamma. They are complex sunspots with complex magnetic fields and are indeed capable of producing major flares. So here's your visual analysis of the sunspot regions. Really, we've only got 2 major sunspot groups at the moment. So quite a low solar wind and a little bit of a reduction here in solar activity as well. Flaring has actually come up a little bit, so a lot of variables there to cover, folks. And speaking of variables, what's up with Twitter? Why does everybody think Twitter is fixed? I mean, I've heard people say Twitter's fixed. Ultra-famous, ultra-rich celebrities seem to think Twitter's fixed. I think Twitter is as broken as it's ever been. It's pathetic and rife with censorship. Today's featured product is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. It's a public service message at massive personal risk and expense from Smash Staff and I. Because if you're going through hell, keep going. Number 1, I order you to not engage in a number 2 in your pants. Seriously, folks, our finest days lie ahead. I'm not trying to convince myself or convince you. It's an actual belief that I have. Our finest days lie ahead. So don't become part of a lava lake, and don't vaporize yourself, as I don't want to breathe you in. I would prefer for you to just watch the content, press like, subscribe, pick up some merch, give Smash Staff a raise. She desperately needs one. Smash Staff needs a raise, folks. So pick up some merch, hook her up. She is a partner in the operations. Press like, press subscribe, press share, press notify. Tell your friends and foes about us. Did you know we're also on BitChute? Yeah. Yesterday's title is How Moist is Your Soil? Thanks to our BitChute subscribers, thanks to our Twitch followers. Twitch.tv/SmashAmash is where we do most of our live streams. We did a live stream on Mother's Day this past Sunday. If you haven't checked that out, that was on YouTube. This video is a YouTube exclusive. And there's more exclusive content at smashamash.com/SmashTeam, especially for gold and silver members. Our gold annual paid-up subscription level is the best value. Like all gold levels, it allows you to obtain an at smashamash.com domain email address, but also at the gold paid-up annual subscription level, you get complimentary merch. So it's the best value because of the merch. You can find all the links at smashamash.com. Patreon, some changes coming to Patreon if you're a patron. We're also going to bring a credit crawl back. If you remember, a year or 2 ago, we had a credit crawl about our patrons in order of lifetime contribution. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Visit our link, smashamash.com. You can find our Discord link, permanent chat invite there, as well as links to Gab and Twitter and Instagram and all. We're all over the internet, folks. Again, give Smash Staff a raise, press like, subscribe, share, etc. I don't know what's going on with algorithms on big tech sites. Social media is a joke. And the hashtag system is broken, by the way. Hashtag system completely broken on social media. I don't know what's up with it. It's certainly not fixed. Proton flux is fixed. At background levels, the likelihood of seeing a spike in this is actually kind of high right now because, well, we've got 2 rather complex sunspot groups in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. X-ray flux has moved back to sort of like a C background level here. No significant flaring over the past 24, just a couple of C-class intensifications. Let's take a look at that visually. Here's the past 24 in 131 angstroms. That's hours, and angstroms is a frequency. Wait, angstroms is a wavelength. All right, yeah. Anyway, 131 angstroms is a great wavelength through which to view solar activity when it comes to flares. Remember, folks, don't get flares and CMEs mixed up. Solar flares are X-rays. Coronal mass ejections are protons, mostly hydrogen nuclei, also helium ions, electrons, and other heavy elements. Remember, folks, in astrophysics, everything more massive than helium on the periodic table is considered a metal. Maybe that'll be ending soon because of some new concepts about what stars are perhaps made of. Anyway, bringing up a star chart here, the planetary pileup continues every morning with Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus rising ahead of the Sun if you've got a clear horizon. The rise of Venus, always spectacular, the 3rd brightest object in the entire sky. The 4th brightest object is either Mars or Jupiter, depending on their proximity. Continuing on, here's a solar system forecast for the next 7 days. We're approaching a full moon. There's where we'll be in 7 days. That'll be a gibbous waning. We'll close out with some coronagraph imagery today, once again, as we typically do here on the Daily Space Weather. We're going to show the view from Stereo A at Lagrange 5 and the Soho-Lascaux C2 at Lagrange 1. So we've got this massive prominence here on the far side of the sun. So that's the first order of business. This is nowhere near the Earth. That is on the other side of the sun. This prominence over here is in the process of erupting right now. It is too early to see it on these images, but I would anticipate it to be off to Earth's southwest. So I would expect it to, once it does eject, I would expect to see it kind of headed in this sort of a trajectory. That's my best guess. It just has to do with its location in the southwestern limb. We showed it right at the beginning of the video. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.